Hi guys, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question here from Ray that I'm going to read today, and I just want to say Ray's question represents probably about 85% of the questions I get in some way, in one way or another. So for sure, I have addressed this, and I almost venture to say that I address this in every single Ask Amy episode. But it's just so interesting how it keeps coming back to this. This is such a huge question, and you'll see what I mean in a minute when I read it. So I thought it was worth kind of giving it another shot and saying it maybe from another direction. I know with this stuff we cannot hear it too much. We definitely there's no upper limit. There's no like, oh, okay, I already know that. It's great to just kind of keep hearing it in different ways. So I hope this is really helpful to a lot of people. So Ray says, hi, Amy. I'm just starting to work through the core curriculum of the Little School of Big Change and gaining valuable insight into how everything works with my thoughts and emotions. I see how thoughts shape my real world impressions, and I've experienced huge changes when those thoughts turn from good to bad. Here's my question. I'm going through a turbulent time with possibly huge real world consequences. I often experience anxious and frightened thoughts. I can wait out my thought attacks and feel better, but they come back frequently and it wears me down day to day. Any suggestions on how to ride it out? I see a conclusion to this period of trouble, but I don't know exactly when that will happen. That uncertainty makes it worse. So, Ray and everyone, where are you? Let me find you. Yeah. Yeah. How do I write it out? Right. I mean, that honestly is the essence of so many questions. And at a certain point, and I don't mean this to put anybody in categories or grade you or anything like that, but that's how it looks in the beginning. That's definitely the question everyone has in the beginning. Me too. Totally. Is, okay, I'm starting to see that everything is coming from within me. It's my own thinking. I see that this stuff does come and go. And that's what Ray said really clearly. Like he could see from what he's done in the school so far, he's starting to notice that thoughts do come and go, and he can go from here to there, in an instant, which is great to see because that means like we're not doing it. It's just sort of happening and evolving and unfolding within us. So he seems to be getting a really great, and most people get a feel for that. But then there's still this place, and it's kind of just like a purgatory. It's not a real place. It's not meaningful. Doesn't mean a thing. But there can be this place, this where we kind of land in seeing this, where it's like, okay, I get that, but now how do I change it, right? Or I get that, but now how do I make it not feel so bad? How do I write it out? What should I do? Another way this question's asked all the time. And again, it's asked in different words, but literally probably 85% of the questions I get revolve around this in some way. What do I do to help it along? Like, how do I sit with it or write it out so that it doesn't feel quite as bad? Last week I was emailing with a guy, and he was asking a similar thing. I think his question, and this is another way it comes up, was worded more like, how do I apply what I'm hearing from you to blah, 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 blah in my life? How does that apply? And I just emailed with him a little bit, and we talked about it. And it was like, well, I always feel bad saying this, but I just want you to hear it with an open mind. Like when we see it, like when we really see that what we're up against is just this energy fluctuating through us. That's totally normal, totally human, totally impersonal, and just kind of flows and takes care of itself. When we really see that, and I mean just even, I don't mean like see it in that it rocks your entire world and you never have some experience again. I just mean you get a little glimpse, a little bigger glimpse into the truth of that it is okay, it is safe. We didn't make it show up, we didn't put it there, and we have no responsibility for making it go away or change. It just does that on its own. This is just the nature of every human being who ever walked the face of the earth. That's it, just that simple little thing. When we see that and get a little more of a glimpse of that, all of these questions, as 85% of the questions I get here, they're irrelevant. They might still be there. Your little mind that takes care of a lot of things might still toss them out and bring them up, and that's okay. But they start to look different. The what do I do? How do I write it out? How do I apply this? What do I do with this? How can I make it not so painful? All that whole big bucket of questions starts to look irrelevant. I don't know, like they're just not questions anymore when we really get these little glimpses into, oh, it's just this thought energy moving through me. It takes care of itself and it has nothing to do with me. It's not personal. It's not about me. It's just what happens with human beings experiencing life, period, full stop. The more we glimpse that, the more these questions just fall away. So there you go, Ray, and everyone, right? All of us, me too, that have had these questions at times. Like, there isn't a way to write it out. I have no idea how you'd write it out. I couldn't even make up an answer to that. I don't know how you'd write it out. No clue. But what I know is when we just see it for what it is, and this guy I was emailing with last week, he said, we were emailing, he had the same kind of question again, and something I said, he came back with an email and said, oh, I think I get it. He said, I've been trying to accept and allow. And he had it in quotes, right? So it's a thing. I've been trying to accept and allow, do this thing that's called accept and allow my whole life. And he said, I see that true acceptance means there is nothing to accept and allow. It's like true acceptance of the fact that it's sunny and windy outside my window today. What would I need? How would I ride that out? Even if it was hurricaning outside my window today, I mean, I suppose I'd go to the basement or seek shelter, but beyond that, like, how would I ride out the emotional, mental experience of that? I don't know. When you really see it for what it is, that takes care of the accepting and allowing, the writing it out, the what do I do? So we just want to keep looking there. Like we are so simple. So simple. We're just human beings who all experience the exact same stuff over and over again, and then it moves through us and we experience new stuff. And none of that stuff is us, and none of it really touches who we really are or can permanently affect who we really are. It's so simple when we start to kind of look in that direction. This weekend, I see Greg is here. Hi, Greg. He was here this weekend. I had there are no words. I had an amazing weekend live event, 25 people here in my home and then down the street. And we spent 3 days just seeing who we were, looking in the direction of what's the quiet background in all of us all the time, and then what's all this garbage that distracts us from the quiet background. Now, all this, and I call it garbage, it's not garbage, it's just life. It's just human experience, right? But it comes up, we don't like it sometimes, as anxiety, and I have trouble, and my life is uncertain, like Ray says, and there's turbulence coming, and all of that experience that comes through us through thought, that grabs our attention. It's right there. But we know something about it. It comes and goes, and it isn't who we are. And we know we can start to know more about who we are. And when we do, it's like, okay, there's just these two things. You just see it in a way where there is no writing out. It's, I don't feel great. I'm nervous about the future. That's valid, right? You can be nervous about the future. And you're fully okay because your nerves about the future are coming from thought in the moment. And they change a lot faster than the future does usually, or than your circumstances do. So we just start to see how that works. And there's just such a peace in that. But at this weekend, oh my gosh, like we didn't learn to write anything out. We didn't learn what to do. We didn't talk about strategies. We got together, 25 people. We really, really quickly connected at a level that's beneath all our thinking. We could all look at each other and say, me too, and see ourselves in the other person and all around the room. And we had 3 days of looking toward how we're all exactly the same. Now, what my thinking says and what Greg's thinking says and Rebecca's thinking says, all different, but who cares? That's not the point. It's just the details that are different. It's not, we're all going through the same, it's like we have one universal radio and there's just different stations. Like, you're not going to analyze, oh my gosh, this station is so different. Like, no, they just play a different kind of music. Who cares? Then another song comes on. Let's get curious about how the radio works. And that's what we did. And this weekend was so huge for so many people in the room. I mean, me, like, I different from this weekend. It was an amazing experience. And all from doing nothing, all from coming together and just getting a deeper feeling for how it works and for who we really are. And in the silence we had, and in the sharing that we had, you know, we just touched something that's beneath all this turbulent thinking that you mentioned, Ray, that everyone mentions, that we all feel. You know, we just look deeper than that. And it's not denying that. It's just like, oh my gosh, when we see this that's deeper, this just starts to look different. It just takes on a whole different life. So again, my number one question: what do I do? How do I write it out? How do I make it feel better? How do I apply it? And send them. If those are your questions, send them. It's fine. They're human, normal, totally normal questions that so many of us ask. I asked them for a long, long time. But I want to keep pointing you deeper, because when we see deeper, those questions evaporate. They really do. They look totally different. And it's a really exciting thing when that happens. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in, for listening to these, and for sending your questions. And if you have questions, again, if it's in this bucket, send it. Don't worry about it. But questions about anything, send them to AskAmy at thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. And I'll be back here every Monday addressing them. Have a great week.